class. I welcome to everyone. So please do confirm through the chat window if you can hear me properly. So here I'm waiting for the response. Do confirm everyone if you can hear me properly. So guys, if you're coming to our channel first time, so I request to everyone please do subscribe to Scholarhead YouTube channel so that the information about such master classes you will get in future automatically. And over there we share many other videos which will really help you to upgrade your technical skill set. Okay, thank you for the confirmation everyone. Okay, so let's start it with the session. So today's session is all about React.js. So guys, you know already the React.js is the most popular JavaScript library, which is helping us to build the single page application. Not only the web application, we can build the mobile application as well. We can build the desktop application as well. So if you're looking for a library, a JavaScript library, which will help you to build any type of application. It can be a website, it can be a cross-platform mobile app, it can be a desktop application. React.js definitely will help you. So today's session is very, very important. If somebody willing to make a career as a full stack web developer, it can be a .NET full stack developer, it can be a Java full stack developer, it can be a full stack JavaScript developer. Even if you are looking for becoming a cross-platform mobile application developer, so that you can build the application for Android and iOS. So this React.js understanding definitely will help you. So let me share my screen here. So I hope you can see my screen, everyone. So let me share here, first of all, the lab guide. Like what are the software are needed to get started with React.js. So make sure you're having the Windows 10. Even you can use the older version of Windows as well. That is also fine. Even you can use the Mac and Linux, what are the OS you having as per the requirement. And as an IDE, VS Code is the IDE I'm recommending here to get started with the React.js. Node.js you have to install on a local machine. You need to install the Git as well. Then we having the React CLI. So after installing the Node.js, you have to set up the React CLI by running this command. And make sure everyone having the internet connectivity, you having the latest browser. Even in this lab guide, I mentioned everything how we can install the VS Code, how we can install the other necessary software. So this lab guide is containing everything. Even I share the same lab guide on the email as well. If you're the part of the Scholarhead email thread, their same lab guide we have shared with you so that you can know a step-by-step way how you can set up your system to get started with React.js. Can you confirm, guys? Have you received this lab guide? If you don't have the Git today, it is fine. You can get it started. There is no issue. Okay. So here, let me start with introduction to React. So today here I'm not going to start with the JavaScript because JavaScript is a programming language you must know before going forward to learn React.js. So JavaScript today I'm not covering. In the previous session I covered the JavaScript. If you're willing to look at what are the things you need to know in the JavaScript, you can look at the previously held session available on Scholarhead YouTube channel. That's why I'm requesting to everyone, please do subscribe to Scholarhead YouTube channel if you're going to learn the JavaScript, if you're going to learn the cloud and many other technologies. So when it is coming to the React.js, so React.js is a JavaScript library which is helping us to create the user interfaces. It is developed at Facebook to build the interactive, stateful, and reusable UI components. So initially they started the React.js to do few things in Facebook. And the Facebook they having the feeds. So to manage the feeds, they created the React.js library but later on they made it open source so that the people can take the help of the same library to build their application UI. So nowadays React.js is people are using to building a single page application. It can be website, it can be your web application, even you can build desktop application, mobile application. And React.js is mainly known for its speed, simplicity, and scalability. So for these three things, the React.js is mainly known here. Okay, I think audio is fine here. Okay, that's great. So let's have a look at the React.js version history. So initially React.js introduced in May 2013, and initially the React.js followed the minor release version. In the minor release version, they having the 0.1, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 like this way. But somehow the people having a understanding about the minor release, it's not ready for the production. So that's why in the April 2016, the React.js team adopted the major release. So when they introduced the React, like after the React 0.14, they directly introduced the React 15. They have not introduced the React 0.15. They started directly React 15. Then after that, constantly the React.js team is building on the library to make it better and better. So you can see here, then React 16 came in 2017, React 17 came in 2020, and React 18 came recently in March 2022. So almost on a gap of 2 years, you are getting a new version of React. So this is about the React.js version history you must know. Now let's have a look at the React advantages. So React is easy to learn and easy to use if you know the JavaScript already. It is based upon the virtual DOM. It support the unidirectional data binding, or you can say the one-way data binding. It support the client side and server side rendering. So for the server side rendering, we having the Next.js and we having the other framework. Using that React you can use to serve from the server as well. So these are the companies who are actually using the React.js already. And I'm sure in your daily life, you are using many React.js based mobile app. You are using many React.js based website. So whenever you are browsing the Skype, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, you are browsing the Netflix, PayPal, eBay, many website. You are these all website and application are mainly built using the React.js. So some of them are using the React Native, some of them are using the React.js for building the web application. So you can see the Fortune 500 companies and the application which are used by the million and billions of people across the world are based upon the React.js. This is the React.js ecosystem. So as I said, React is a library. It is helping you to do some basic things. It is not helping you to do everything. So there we need to understand the many React.js supporting library in the React.js ecosystem. So what are the library you must know as a React developer? I just mentioned the most popular library name over here. So we having first is npmjs.com. It's a node package manager where we having all the React.js packages we can download, we can use in our application. If are even if you are willing to publish your own package, you can publish your own package as well. So Node.js first we need because Node.js is a runtime for the JavaScript, which is helping us to execute the JavaScript on server side. Even it is helping us to create the many server to start my React.js application over there. We are using here Babel because what are the code we write in the React.js, we follow the JSX syntax. But a browser cannot understand the JSX, browser only understand three things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So how we can convert our JSX code to the plain J, that is done by the Babel here. We having the Webpack. Webpack is helping us to create the bundles because ultimately we having the many files in our React application. So how we can create a build, a proper optimized build so that instead of loading those thousand of files, we can load them as a bundle. So we having the Webpack, we having the Webpack for the purpose. For implementing the routing, we having the React router here. For implementing the validation on the form, because what are the forms you will create in React.js, we have to validate them. So for creating the forms, we having the form make, we having the React hook form. So these are the two most popular library the people are using to create the form easily and manage them with the help of all the necessary things over there. Even you can use the one more library, that is Yup. So Yup is a library the people use for validation purpose in React.js. And guys, make sure you are taking the notes. I request to everyone, please take the notes. So whatever I'm covering here, I hope you are taking the notes. Make sense? So just have your notepad with you and note down everything. Now, then we having the Redux. So when it is coming to maintaining the application state globally, so there Redux come into the picture. So Redux.js, the Redux is also the people are using for the state management in the React.js. So these are the many library you must know whenever you are building the application using the React.js. So obviously everything I cannot cover in the one session. I will try to cover many of them today. So let's see how much I able to cover here. Okay, now let's start with the React CLI. So as I said, to get started with the React.js, so first thing which you need, it is React CLI. So you have to install the React CLI, which is helping us to create the React application, which is helping us to run my React application as well, building the application. So all the thing we can do here using the React CLI. So these are the steps are mentioned here. How we can install the React CLI. As I said, you must have the Node.js first on your local machine. Then you have to run the command npm space install space dash g, then create React app. Then you can get started. Okay. So let's see how we can get started with React.js in a pure React.js mode. So when you will get started with the React.js, so you will find out there are mainly two library whenever you are building the web application. So we having the React. So React is a core library which is providing the core set of features of the library. If you're building the web application, we having the React DOM. If you're building the mobile application, we having the React Native. So today we are not covering here React Native. We are focusing only the web application. So we are using these two library. But before using these two library, let me show the way. Think about if you're going to start the React.js in using the plain JavaScript. So I'm using here my VS Code ID. And what I'm doing here, I'm just going to create a folder. And there we start with the React.js as a pure. So let's say it is my React master class. Then here I'm creating a one more folder. That is I'm using a, let's say, pure React sample. Let us start React from the beginning. So let's see if you're not using the React CLI, how we can get started with the React.js. If you're willing to go ahead with plain JavaScript. So if you're willing to go ahead with the plain JavaScript, so just do one thing here. Let me add here a HTML file. I'm adding here index.html file. I'm using here a HTML5 page. Is HTML5 page I'm using here, and it is here pure React. So in the React.js, when it is coming to the pure React.js, what you need to do here? We need to create here a div container. I'm defining here div container. So ID, let's say I'm using here root is my ID. Then I'm using here plain JavaScript. So here I will write my React.js code. But before that, I need to download here the React.js library. The React.js library I can download from the unpackage.com. It is a similar way as we access the jQuery. So how we access the jQuery? jQuery we download from the jQuery CDN. Similar way we having the unpackage for React. Unpackage for React. From here I will get my React.js UMD. So this is the way you can find out. I'm having a react.development.js file. So this is the path I can add over here. So this path, in fact, I can here you can decide which version of React you're willing to use. So you can see we having the React 18.x, we having the React 17 or 18. So any version which you're willing to use, you can use. Let's say I'm using here React. So let me add this path. I'm just going to copy this path and open this index.html, and here I'm adding it. So let's say before this one, I'm adding it, a script. I'm going to start from a beginning. Then this is my script. I'm adding that src path this way. Yes, I'm adding it. Then it is a type. So type I am adding a jar text slash JavaScript. So this I'm adding it. This is the way I added the path here. So this is my React production, or you can use the React element. It's up to you what you're willing to use it. So I'm using here, let's say React element. Another library which I need to add here, that is React DOM. I need here one more library, that is React DOM dash element. And here you can change the version number. It's up to you what version you're willing to use, 18.x, 17.x, or 16.x. So make sure it is going to accessible. So let me type accessible. Okay, I think it is not available. So UMD. Okay. Let me look at for 16.x version. That is 16.6. So I need here a one more version, that is for DOM. This one. Let me go ahead with 16.x. So this is my 16.6.0. So to understand this concept, you can go ahead with any version. It's not making any difference, because my intention is to explain if we're going to go ahead with the plain React.js, how you can go ahead. We can say how you can get started simply. This is the intention behind it. Otherwise, it's not. Okay, there is a one mistake I did here. So that is React dash DOM. Then we having the development.js. I'm having the actual URL that I'm putting over there. So this is working fine. So this is my actual URL. Let me put here so that it will not break down. I'm having this one also. That's it. So we added here a library. So as I said here, React.js code is actually converted into the plain JavaScript. So you might be thinking what the JavaScript it is going to generate. So the JavaScript code I'm just going to show you. So in the JavaScript, the requirement is here. I want to add here a h1 tag. So how can I generate the h1 tag here? I can generate like this way: h1 element. Then I'm using here React dot create element. So create element is a method in React.js library which I can use. So which element you are willing to create? I'm willing to create here h1 element. Do you want to add any attributes? I'm not willing to add any attributes, but I'm going to add a inner HTML. So this is my inner HTML. Welcome to React. This one, I'm adding it. This is my plain case where I'm creating a h1 tag with the help of React.js library. Now the thing is, this h1 tag, I'm just going to bind along with this root element. So how can bind it? I can use here, let's say React DOM. Then we having a method render. Then this h1 element I'm using here. Then I can use a document dot get element by ID. So what element I'm getting? I'm getting the element here root this way. So this way I'm writing the code using the React.js library as we write the code in the jQuery, as we write the code in the plain JavaScript. Okay. So some of them might be looking at such code first time, but that is fine. I'm just explaining the way how the React.js actually internally convert our JSX code to the plain JS. So this is a plain JS one. That is difficult to write the code. So that's why JSX comes into the picture. Now let me open this index.html file. So wherever I have created, I can explore that folder, and here I can open it in my browser over here. So this is the browser I'm using here. And to render it immediately, you can do one more thing here. I can get it started with my a server that is available in Node.js that is about a live server. So live server I can use here to start it. But before using the live server, let me install in as a npm package npm I dash g. Then we having live dash server. So I'm installing npm package so that I can start this folder as a simple website. So to start this folder as a simple website, I can take the help of my live server. Simple. Then let me use here live dash server. It will start it. So you can see here, here it is working fine. I'm getting here welcome to React Word. If you will inspect it, you will find out the same code which I have written. It's coming over here. You can see. So this is the code which we have written here. This is the actually code added by the live server. Forget about this one. Just do focus on this one. So we having div id root, and this is the script we have added. So it is not showing this welcome to React Word because the manipulation is happening at the browser level. So if you will inspect it here in the inspection, you will find out I'm having h1 hello word, the code exactly which I have written in my IDE that is coming over there. So this is the way how you can use the React.js in its native form, where you have to write everything using the plain JavaScript simply. Guys, you can use here Visual Studio as well if you're willing to use, but when it is coming to a JavaScript element, we having the VS Code here mainly used. So now do you have any query regarding this one? So far, if you have any query, please do ask. If you're good to go ahead, we can proceed further to create the React application using the React CLI. Even I can show you the other things as well if you're willing to, if you're understanding this typical JavaScript code, where I'm creating the h1 element, then I'm attaching to this root ID here, simply. Okay, so it might be looking to a very, very difficult to write the code for the React.js. So that's why the JSX comes into the picture. So here instead of writing this plain JS, where I need to take care of creating the h1 tag, where I need to take care of div tag, then attaching the inner HTML and many other things. So we having the JSX over there. But how the JSX is going to compile into this plain JS? So for that purpose, we having here Babel. So Babel is a library which is helping us for doing the same thing. So what I'm doing here, I'm adding here a file where I'm using here babel.html. Same code I will rewrite using the JSX syntax this way. I did like this way. Now let me look at how we can do it here, how we can handle it using the Babel. So we need to add here a one extra library that is for Babel. This one. Now this code I can rewrite using the JSX style. And here this time it should be the script I would be here text slash Babel. Text slash Babel this way. Now let me create here a class hello world. Hello world is a class I'm using here. I'm just going to extend the React component class. So React dot component I'm just importing. And the React class based component having a render method. Save render method I'm defining here, and I can define the div like this way. This way I'm defining it. As we write the code in plain HTML, almost similar way, I'm writing it here. This is my H1, and this would be here hello, hello what. This is the way. This is my hello one. Even you can add another paragraph as well. So I'm just using here Babel is making the coding, mocking the React coding simple. This way. This is the way I'm writing the code now using the JavaScript class and using the using the HTML over there. So this same code I'm writing like this way over here. If you will see now, so this is my index.html. I can access here babel.html. Okay, so one thing is missing here. The missing part is extend React component. Okay, there is a spelling mistake. I did. So it's running fine. So now this hello world I need to attach with this root. So this code I have not written. So same way as I have written here React DOM, I'm using this one. And this hello world I can call as a HTML element like this way. Save it and you will see the output here. Okay, it is saying nothing was written. So it should have a return statement which I have not mentioned. Now it will work fine. So you can see here I'm getting here hello world and Babel is making the React coding simple. So what are the code we have written this time? We have written the code using here this JSX syntax. This is a JSX one. And this JSX one is compiled by the plain JS by the babel.js so that we getting this HTML markup over here. So this is the way you need to understand whenever you are dealing with React.js using the pure JavaScript. If you're not using the this one, so I hope you understand the role of the Babel here. So whenever you are using the React CLI internally, it is using the Babel, internally it is using the Webpack, so that what are the code we are writing over there like this way, it is going to convert it into the plain JS and doing the thing simply. Obviously, whenever you are writing the code using the Babel, so the conversion one would be bigger one. But think about the development. How much development time it is saving. And the optimized build you can create using the Webpack. Now they just improving the things over there so that it's not doing the things. Make sense? Okay, so this is about the pure React.js, don't worry, you don't need to remember this style of working with React.js. We having a better way, that is the JSX we use, and we use the React CLI. But it's my responsibility to tell you the way how the React started, and how the later on they added the support of the React CLI to get started. Okay, so let me do one thing here. Let me open here a command prompt, and let's create the React application using the React CLI. So in the same folder, I will create it where I'm right now. So here I will create my React application using the React CLI. So guys, here if you're willing to create the React application along with me, you can create. But make sure you're having the React CLI. So you can use here now CD. I'm just going to that location. This is my location. Then you can run here a command create dash React dash app. Are you following to me, everyone? If you don't have the React CLI setup on a local machine, I will tell you the another option as well. The another option is here. We can go ahead with the code sandbox. Code sandbox is an online IDE which you can use to practice your React application. This is my code sandbox. So you can get started with this one to create your things. So we having a sand pack. So from the sand pack, you can get started. Like from here. So you can see they having started with it. So from here, you can get started if you're willing to get started with a online ID and you don't want to set up anything locally. So this is the things which can be used to get started over here. Okay, so from here you can get started. But I'm using here the locally because locally I prefer better, but this is also option. So create React app. I'm just defining my application name as my app. This is my application name. So it will take a couple of time to generate the things. Now I hope it is better to look at the screen. I make it more bigger. So how many people are creating the project along with me? Are you? Can you confirm through the chat window? Are you creating the React.js application so that you can do the hands-on? Okay, good. If you are creating, it's great. So please do let me know when you will completed the creating the React.js application. If you have done now, you can open the VS Code. You can open this folder in your VS Code ID. So what I can do here now, I can open it my VS Code ID simply. So so the older code, I'm just going to open it here. Let me open that folder. Open folder. This is my app. I'm opening it this way. So this is my create application I'm having, where I'm having the SRC folder. So before proceeding further, let me explain here the meaning of each folder and file. So if you're looking at here, we having a node underscore module folder where we having the many node.js module. So what are the node.js module are necessary to start my node.js application? We get a typical node.js application. So all the modules are the part of this node underscore modules folder. So might be thinking we have not downloaded many modules, but it is having many. The reason behind it, it's containing all the other modules which are used by the packages we are using in our application. It's a complete dependency graph. It is downloaded for us. So here we having a package.json file. So to start with a Node.js application, we need a package.json file where we mention the application name, where we mention the application version number, where we mention the dependency. Dependency means the packages which are needed to run my application in the production environment, that we mention always in the dependency section. So you can see here we having in the dependency section, we having a package for React 18, React DOM, React script. We having the testing library for Jest. So these many library we needed to run my React application in the production environment. Here we can have a dev dependency as well. So in the dev dependency, we keep those packages which are necessary to run my application locally, to run my application to the dev environment where we are running the test cases on our application. So those dependency we can maintain the dev dependencies option. So what are the packages we will use in our application? Like Bootstrap, we will use the Formic, we will use the Redux, we will download and keep adding the dependency entry over here. So this is necessary to understand. Then we having here package dash log.json file. So in the package dash log.json file, you will find out the information what are the packages we have actually installed in our application. So why we having the package log JSON file? The reason behind it, let's say today we started the project with React 18.x release. And obviously after 2 years, or let's say 3 years, you will have React 19, you having let's say React 20. So when you will set up it after 2 years, let's say after 6 months, so whatever the package dependency we having today, so same package dependency is going to install after 1 year, after the 6 year, so that there is no breaking change in my application configuration, in my application setup. So we are maintaining a package log file which is containing the exact information about the package version we are using today to set up my application. If you will delete this package dash log file, so what will happen tomorrow if there is a higher version of the React, let's say it is React 18.2, 18.4, so it might download that version as well. And in that case, what will happen? There might be a case your dependency might be breaking. So to have such issues where there is a compatibility issue after 6 months, let's say after 1 year, it is advisable to use package log file. So that if you will set up the same application again from the scratch without node underscore modules folder, you will not have such issues over there. Make sense? Why we need the package dash log file? And one more thing need to understand here, when we are pushing our code to the Git, to the TFS, or to the let's say GitLab, we never publish our node underscore module. Or you can say node underscore modules folder is not a part of the Git repository. It always live in local machine where I'm building the application. To the Git, you will have only public folder, SRC folder, and these files. Make sense? So guys, do you have any queries so far? If you have any query, please do ask. Guys, are you facing any issue on watching my screen? I hope everyone can see my screen properly. And guys, if you are following to me through the code, just do one thing, just divide your screen into two sections like this way. On the half screen, open your browser like this way. On the half screen, open your IDE, so that side by side you can follow me. Otherwise, what will happen if you will do maximize, minimize? So the chances are there you will miss the code whatever I have written. So better way is here, just divide your screen into two vertical section. In the half screen use your id, in the half screen open the browser where you're looking at the screen of whatever I'm doing. I hope it makes sense to everyone. Right? Okay. If you have any query so far, you can ask. If you don't have, I will start explaining the other things. Then other thing we having the git ignore. So as I said, for the version control system nowadays we are using the git. So and the git we are not going to put everything here in the git ignore file. We are keeping those folders, those files which we are not willing to check in. We are not willing to push to the git repository. So you can see here we are excluding the node underscore module folder. We are excluding the file having these extension. We are excluding this folder. We are excluding the build folder because when I will create my application build, it is going to be created in this build folder. So these folders and the files we are not going to push to the git repo. If you are having any other folder, any other file which is not mentioned over there, please add it here so that it will not publish, it will not push to the cloud over there. Simply. Okay. So this is the way we having the git ignore file. Then we having is src folder where we have to keep our application source code. So this is my src folder. This is containing first of all a index.js file. So this is my index.js file which is containing the information about how we are going to set up our React application. So if you will look at here, we having the React core library and we are using here React DOM library. So before the React 18, we don't have the React DOM slash client. We having only React DOM library. Recently, they have done the change in the latest version of React 18. Then I'm using here index.css file. This is a global.css I'm importing. I'm having here an app.js file. This is a component file here. It is a functional component React.js. Where I'm just adding here a logo, where I'm adding here just a message, edit app.js file and save to reload that is containing in this app.js. That is here. Then we having here simply this index.app.css file that is specific to a particular component. So what happens here, we are going to follow here component based style of writing the code. So each component will have a separate CSS, each component will have a separate test file. Same thing. If you're looking in the code, my app.js component is containing three things over there. It is having a JS file, it is having here a CSS file, and it is having a test file. So if you will see here, we having the three files which are connected to your one component. But right now, if you're not willing to use any of them, you can delete it. Even I will show the way how we can delete it. And we will only get started with only necessary files. Okay, so these are the related to one component here. So one is CSS specific to a component. One is the test file specific to the app.js component here. This way. Then we having a logo file, which we are rendering here to show the logo of my application here. Then we having a setup test file where we are just going to set up our the just des DOM library for writing the test cases for my React application. So this is the basic setup we having for our React.js application inside the SRC folder. Then we having a public folder which is containing a index.html file. So this is the same index.html file where you will find out the div id root. Even the same I mentioned here, if you remember, when we get started with React.js in the pure mode, I created the div root, then I attached through the React DOM. So same root ID I'm just accessing in this index.js file. You can see document.getElement by ID. Then I'm using a React DOM create root. So now it is a create root method before that want the render DOM. So this is a new change they introduced in the React 18. Then we having some logo file, we having some others files over there. So this index.js file is index.html file is a main file which is responsible to load everything which are required to initialize my React application. So what are the bundle file we will use? Like say we will get after publishing my React application, those script file references we need to add to this index.html. Even you will see when I will run my application. So this is the folder structure and the files I explain over here so that you having the understanding what is the meaning of file, what is the meaning of the folder. So do you have any query regarding the folder structure, regarding the file? To open that folder in the VS Code, there is option available here, file, then we having here open folder. Using this open folder option, I can select that folder and then open it. That's it. So this is the way I'm doing it. Okay. Now let me run my React application. To run it, I need to open here the terminal. There is option available terminal. It's a new terminal. Then I'm using here a command prompt. So guys, here by default, when you will open the terminal using the VS Code, you will get the PowerShell option. So in the PowerShell, the JavaScript will now run fine. So make sure you are changing to the command prompt. So I'm just changing into the command prompt from the right window here. And here I can run my command npm start. Run it and you will see the page of your React.js application here. So this is the way I'm getting here localhost 3000 where a React.js logo is running. I hope everyone is getting the same output. I'm right. Can you confirm through the chat window if you're getting the same output here? Okay, so now let's change it. Let's start it from scratch. So to start it from scratch, what I'm doing here, just follow to me. Guys, please follow to me whatever I'm doing here. Just go inside the app.js. So you can see in the app.js, many things that's imported at the top level. Let me remove everything. Let's make it empty. We will start from scratch. I'm removing everything here. I am removed everything. Now let me add here a heading. I'm adding a heading. H1. I'm adding here welcome. Welcome to React. It's a simple heading I added here. Welcome to React. This way. I hope everyone has did the same thing. I'm looking at the chat constantly. If you're having any query, please do ask. Okay. So now I can delete my app.css file. I'm deleting my app.css file. Even let me delete here index.css file also. Even delete here app.test file. So what are the extra file we having here? I'm deleting them so that we can make the project simple here. Even if you're not willing to use a report web vital, you can remove it, but I'm not removing it because you might doing some mistake. So I have removed CSS file. I have removed here the test file. Now come inside the index.js and from here I'm removing the index.css. This way I just did the changes. If you're willing to do, you can do, otherwise leave it. Guys, please don't do these changes. Sometimes you might getting the error if you're not following to me properly. So this way, if you will see now the output, you will get a simple welcome to React. So I'm getting this output here, welcome to React. So now let me do one thing here. Let me divide my screen into two parts like this way so that side by side I can see my changes, whatever I'm doing here. So you can see this is the changes I did here, index, welcome to React, simply. So the first thing what you need to know in the React is JSX1. So when it is coming to the React, so we having the JSX transpiler here, Webpack and Babel, which I already explained to you. where we have used the Babel to convert our code into the plain J so that it would be understood by the browser. So how this JSS compilation is working, or you can say transpilation is working, it is working like this way. So we write the code using the JavaScript ES6 syntax, then we using the JSX one, then we use Webpack and the Babel so that we can convert the code into the plain JS and target the ES5 because ES5 version of the JavaScript is widely supported here. Then finally, it is going to render into the browser. So it can be any browser, even the older browser will also work here, where my React application code will be visible to you and will be run. Even the same thing is happening here when we are using the React CLI. So this is the things happening behind the scene. So this is necessary to understand how the this project setup is working behind the scene. So this is the way how it is working behind the scene. I hope it makes sense to everyone. So this is a role of the Webpack we having the React.js. So Webpack is helping us to transpile the JSX file to the JSX one. And Webpack is a open source JavaScript based build tool. So when it is coming to building your application, or you can say publishing your application, so we need to create the bundle of various static content. So we need to create the bundle of JavaScript file, we need to create the bundle of CSS, we need to get the bundle of images. So those bundles things can be set up using the Webpack. And even the React CLI is smart enough, it is doing the things for us. We are not explicitly setting it up. But if you're willing to set up it explicitly, that can also be possible to set up it explicitly. And this is the way how the React.js application is going to initialize inside the browser. So if you look at here, this is very important part here. Whenever the code we are writing in the JSX one, so we having the React.js transformer. That is a Babel and the Webpack. That will convert the code into the plain JavaScript. Then we have included the React library. And along with the React library and this JavaScript file, we are going to render the things into the browser. So in the browser, we having the browser memory. So to the browser memory, it is going to create a React virtual DOM. So this React virtual DOM is nothing. It's a in-memory representation of actual DOM element. So what are the actual DOM element we having? Like say actual DOM we having the browser. So internally it's creating a in-memory representation of that. So benefit of that in-memory representation of the same real DOM is whenever you are doing the change, let's say at this node label you're doing the change, so it is quite easy to find out what are the change actually we have to do in the actual DOM. So instead of reloading this entire markup, we just reload this component, we just reload this one, and we just reload this one because the changes are happening here. So changes will going to update the current node as well as its child node like this way. So same way we have to reload only this part of the page. So benefit of the virtual DOM is it is not going to reload the entire page. It is going to reload only the affected node of the application. And how we find out this differentiation? So this differentiation is going to find out by the diff algorithm. So React.js behind the scene use the diff algorithm to find out the differences between the virtual DOM and the real DOM, how the things are happening. So this is the part this is going to be rendered into the browser natively, and this is the part is going to be stored into the browser memory as a in the program over there. I hope it makes sense now how the React.js application is going to initialize into the browser and how the React.js is going to help us to do the changes fastly as compared to the others one. Make sense? So do you have any query so far? If you have any query, please do ask. If you don't have, we can proceed further. Okay. So let's get started further here. So as I explained here, virtual DOM is going to help us to optimize the performance of the application, so that instead of re-rendering the entire HTML DOM, we only re-rendering that section, that node, which actually has been changed. And as I said here, in the virtual DOM, we having the diff algorithm. This is the algorithm which is going to help us to figure out simply. And this is the things, how the things are happening here, the differentiation. So using the set state method, we do the changes over there. And this is the way how the change will happen simply. Okay. So now let's proceed further here to the React JS JSX1. So when it is coming to get started with the React JS, so in the React JS we use many components. Or you can say in the React JS, a page is going to be considered as a block of components. So you can see this is the my page here. In the page, I can create many sections using the components. A header component, let's say we having a footer component, then we having a another parent component for container. Then inside it, I'm creating the article, I'm creating the, let's say, comment, I'm creating the category, I'm creating the news feed. So this is the way how the various components can be used together to build the complete page this way. So when it is coming to React.js, so we having the two types of component React.js. We having the class-based component and we having the functional component. So these are the two components you will find out in the React.js. So class-based component we write like this way, and we having the functional component we write like this way. So initially when we having the React, so only in the class-based component we can maintain the state, or you can say we can store the data. At the functional component level, we cannot store the data, but starting from the React 16.8, we can start using the hooks. So with the help of hooks now in React.js, functional component level also we can store the data. Even as per the latest trend, the React.js team announced to use the functional component only as a best practice for building the React application. But still people are using the class based component. If they having a older application of React, they might build using the React 16 or let's say React 15. But now in the React 17 and 18, the advisable way is use functional component to do everything. Even in this master class, my focus would be on functional component, because in the future release of the React.js, they will depreciate the class based component. So always remember, always practice now functional component more while building the application. So let's see how we can create the component in the React.js. So what are the code we have written? I have written the code here, this function app. So this function app is here known as the functional component. And every component return a single element. So this single element it is returning here. If you will try to return a more than one element, if let's say I'm trying to return here more than one element like this way, hello React, it will not work. You can see I'm getting the error. So I'm returning here div and div. It's not a singleton. If you're having such requirement, so better is here, we can wrap these elements in a parent element like this way, then wrap it like this way. Let's say parent element, and then inside the parent element we having a multiple div. So make sure your component is returning only one element, and inside that one element you can have many elements like this way. Even if the same thing you are going to do using the class based component, I can do using the class based component as well. For doing this one, just do one thing. Let me add here a one separate component. In the src folder, I'm adding here a file for component component.js. This is the file I'm adding here, component.js. Then I'm adding here a class component. Class component I'm adding here. Let's say it is here my component. Let's say my app. Is a class based component. And class based component we need to inherit from the component class. That is available in the React.js this way. You can see the VS Code is smart enough, like you. It automatically imported my component class from the React core library. Now it will have a render method like this way, and it will also return here a single element like this way. This is my class based component. Even this return statement I can wrap like this way also. That is also fine. If you're having the confusion, we can wrap it like this way. It's up to you whether you're using as it is, whether you're using this way. Now here I can add a heading. It is a heading I'm adding here. It is a class based component. Class based component I added here. This is my paragraph. So this is my class component. I added like this way. And guys, here one more thing to understand here. Directly, I cannot access this class my app. If you're willing to access this class inside the app.js file, inside the index.js file, I have to use it export keyword. So we having it export keyword, export default, then we having here my app this way. I'm exporting this my app. Now I can import it. How can I import it? I can import it here using my import statement. So open here the index.js file or app.js file. So here, let's say I'm just going to use here my app.js file. Here I'm importing. So let me import here component. And here I can import like this way. And always remember one thing. If we have exported here as a default export, this is my default export. I can import it with any name. The name can be component, the name can be my component, because here I'm exporting it with default. So we having the two types of export. So one is here default export, default export. One is here named export, export my app. So this is named export. The name export, what are the name we are using to export it? So name export I can do directly over here. Let's say here itself, export class my app. So this is my named export. The name export we import with the exactly same name. So I don't need this one now. So I'm using here named export. So in the name export, I have to wrap it inside curly braces like this way. What is the name? It is my app this way. This is named export. So what are the name of the class we having with the same name? I have to import it. But if it is a default export, so in the default export, the name can be my app, but I can import it with any name. Okay. So default export things we import without curly braces. And always remember one thing, we can have only one default export. We cannot have more than one default export in a JS file. So one JS file can have only one default export, but it can have many named export. So that's why you have seen in the React JS at many places we write simply React like this way. We using the React. React is here a default export inside the React library, and component is a named export inside the React library. I hope it makes sense now to doing it. As I already told you, the class based component, if you are building a new application, is not necessary to know. But the thing is, if let's say you're working on an older application, So understanding the class component is necessary, because you don't know whether you are going to start a project from scratch, whether you're working on a older project. So right now you should know the class based component as well. This is my suggestion. So that's why I'm not focusing more on the class based component, but basic. I'm telling you, it is my responsibility to teach you the basic as well of the class based component. If you will get a chance to work on that, you will work it. Got it? I hope now it is clear to everyone that the difference between the default export, named export, and here import with curly braces and import without curly braces. Okay, good. So I just imported here. Now I can use it. So how I can use it? So let me use it like this way. I'm using here my app. This I'm using. Now I just did the nesting of two components here. So inside the another component, I'm calling the another one. If you will see the output here now, you will see the output, whatever I'm having. Okay, so my app I'm just using two times, so it is not necessary to use it here again. Now let me open my localhost 3000. You can see it is coming like this. A class-based component also coming. And inside the functional component, I'm calling it. So this is about the component. So you can have class-based component as well as functional component. Make sense to everyone? Okay. Now let's see. I'm going to integrate here my Bootstrap. How we can add the Bootstrap into the application. So to integrate the Bootstrap, open here terminal. I'm opening here terminal. Same way, make sure you are using the command prompt here, not the PowerShell. Have you opened the new terminal here? So new terminal you can open by clicking here on the plus icon and look for the command prompt here. Have you opened this command prompt like this way? Now here let's run the command npm install, that is bootstrap. Then that does save. I'm going to install my bootstrap npm package. So it will download here bootstrap 5 by default. And make sure whenever you are downloading the bootstrap, you have mentioned the flag that does save. The reason behind to use the flag is I want to add the entry into the packet.json file under the dependencies section. Otherwise, it will not add the bootstrap entry into the packet.json dependencies folder. So this one I did it. Now let me enter it. So what it will do here, it will download the bootstrap. Now, if you will open my packet.json file, you will find out there is a bootstrap entry. So this entry is coming because of that flag dash dash save. I hope you have downloaded the bootstrap into your application, everyone. The command I also shared through the chat window. There you can use it. Is it clear to everyone? So we have done the installation of bootstrap. To implement the routing, let me install here one more package. I'm installing here a package to implement the routing here, that is React dash router dash DOM. I'm installing this package. So to implement the routing, I'm just installing a package here. React router DOM is a package which I'm just installing in my application here. Same you have to install. So again, that does save is option I'm using here. That does save. So now you can see we having here React router DOM as well, and we having the Bootstrap as well. Both the packages we have installed simply. Now let's start implementing the routing and start using the Bootstrap in our application. So whatever I'm doing here, let me do one thing here. Okay, let me, if you need the package for routing, I'm installing a package as well, npm I react dash router that does. It is actually DOM as well, npm I. I shared the package here. Make sure everyone has downloaded the React router DOM package and the Bootstrap package. Have you downloaded both the package Bootstrap and the React router DOM? Everyone, can you confirm, please? Can you confirm through the chat window if you have completed this one? Okay. Now let me add here a one more component. I'm adding here a one more component with data binding. Data binding dot js component I'm adding here. So again, I'm adding a functional component. So it is here a function, then data. As I said, practice the functional component. Then we having the return one. So just use a return. So I'm just going to return here a single div. I say h2. This is data binding. So this way I added here a functional component. Okay, thank you for the confirmation here. So now we having a component, we having a data binding. These two file I will connect to the routing here. So this app.js file, in fact, I will use as a master view. So what is going to happen here? The things are going to happen here like this way. So we having actually here index.js file. Inside the index.js file, I will call the app.js. So what are the things we are going to have? Let me explain. So think about we having here index.js file. Inside the index.js file, I will call here app.js file. And now here in the app.js file, I will I will call the another files. So what are the others files I will call here? I will call here others files here. It will be the component.js, it will be data binding. Everything will be connected through this app.js file. So app.js is acting as a master view here. And inside it, I will call my data binding, I will call my component, and I will call my others JS file as well here. So now let me import similar way. I'm importing here my data binding. So data binding is not exporting here. Let me export this data binding. So I'm exporting here with the named binding. So this is my data binding. Now here, let me remove it. And I will use a Bootstrap menu. Let's generate here the Bootstrap menu. So I can create here a Bootstrap menu. Then we have here nav bar with minimal UL. So I have generated the code here immediately because I know the extension. It is helping me to generate this markup. This extension in the VS Code is available. Bootstrap 5 quick snippets. So with the help of Bootstrap 5 quick snippets, you can generate this code. Same thing I did here. So using the Bootstrap 5 quick snippets, I generated the code for my menu. But it is not a JSX code. So let me convert it into the JSX one. Just do right click here. We having the option convert HTML to JSX. Now it is a JSX one. Now here I can use here roots. So I need to use here the roots. And now let me define here a root. I'm defining here the root. So inside it, I will define my root simply to get started here. So we having root and it would be here path. So path for home page, I'm making it slash. Then element. What are the element we have imported the top label? Those we will import for the home page. So I will import here, let's say my app this way. This is for let's say home page I'm using here. For data binding path, I'm using here data binding. This is data binding. In the data binding, I'm binding this data binding. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating here a collection of roots. And I'm telling when somebody is requesting only slash, then render this component my app. If somebody is requesting slash data binding, then render the data binding component over here. And to connect these pages through the anchor tag, I can define here nav link. So here in the Bootstrap, and sorry, in the React Router DOM, we having the nav link. Using the nav link, I can connect it. This is my nav link, and I can use it too. I'm not using here anchor tag. The reason behind it, if you will use the anchor tag, it will request the page from the server. But in the React.js routing, the page will be requested from the browser itself. Because React.js application is running inside the browser, not on the server side. So that's why I'm using here navlink because navlink will help us to request the page from the browser itself, not from the server. If any time you need the thing something from the server, use anchor tag. That anchor tag will help you to request the thing from the server. This way, I'm just connecting the data binding here, like this way. This is the thing you have to write here for connecting purpose. So this is the nav link in place of anchor tag we are using. This is the collection of root we are doing here now. So this page we have completed simply. Don't use PowerShell to run the command. Use command prompt to run the command here. This complete code I shared in the chat window. If you're willing to copy from there, you can copy from there. If you have written the code exactly similar to my code, you can copy and reuse. Now let me do one more setting. Just come inside the index.js and here I need to wrap it in browser router. So we having here browser router that is a part of React router DOM. Inside it, I need to wrap it like this way. Wrap it like this way. So you can see as soon as I added the browser router, it is coming the routing. Can you see? It is rendering my class based component. It is rendering my data binding component. But I'm not getting a proper menu. So how many people are getting this UI like this way, where we able to connect the things simply? In my case, my pages has been connected using the routing. So make sure at the index.js you added the browser router At the app.js, we did the routing like this way simply so that we can connect them. So this file content I already shared. If you're looking for the index.js, I can share for index.js. Guys, I'm waiting for a response. Please reply, everyone. This is for my app.js. I share both the file code, app.js file code and index.js file code. I shared both of them. Okay. So Devendra is getting the same result. What about others? Okay, now let me add here the bootstrap setting. So open your index.js file. There I can add the path for the bootstrap. So let me add here import statement for bootstrap. It is node module. Then we having the bootstrap distribution CSS. Then we having the bootstrap.css I can add simply. And as soon as I will add the bootstrap now, we should have the proper menu this way. I'm getting here now proper menu. Are you getting it? After adding this single line, you will get a proper menu. This is the way how the menu is coming. And if you're willing to align them into the center, you will get the thing into the center. Open the app.js, and here I'm having this routes. So this routes I can wrap it inside a div where I can use a class container. I can use a class name equal to container. So now the things would be into the center. Can you see? It is now into the center of the screen. So this is the way how the connectivity has been done using the React router. Here we have to wrap up the session as well. It might be looking too fast because I have to cover the other things as well, which I have planned for telling you today. So I hope guys now you having the understanding how you can set up the React.js application and how we can get started. Let me share few more important tools and the library which you need to know whenever you are going to get started with the React.js. So let me share here first of all here the reason to learn. Let me tell you about here one thing that is about the three cornerstone of the project element. So we have decided to build a project. So what are the many things you need to look at? So first thing is here, please involved in the project planning. So what are the project we are going to build? We are going to build to solve a real problem. So understand that real problem first. So that is the part of the project planning. So when you will understand the React problem, just take the example of, let's say you are going to solve a problem of food delivery, online food delivery. So understand how the online system of delivering the food will work. Then understand the domain, subdomain, and the ecosystem. How many people are involved in the online food delivery business? We having the customer, we having the vendor, we having the app. Then understand how the payment flow will work. Understand how the order will flow over there. Everything you need to understand over there. Then decide the architecture, 3 tier, N-tier, clean architecture, microservices, because ultimately you have to use one of the architecture to build it. It's not about only building 4 pages where you just happy to perform the crude operation. No. Whenever it's coming to building the real application, we always use a proper architecture. So need to have the understanding of how we can implement the anti architecture, clean architecture, microservices based architecture, technology. So here we are using the React.js. So you need to know the React.js, you need to know the backend like Web API, Node.js, SQL database, NoSQL database. So one of the backend you need to know, one of the database, one of the backend technology you need to know over here. So this is the once things everyone must know before dive into a project, before getting started a project. Then the second thing we having the project workflow and the tools. So obviously as a thing you need to know first of all the technology fundamentals. You know Valve React.js. Even I'm sure many people might knowing the React.js, they might learn over the YouTube, they might learn through the various articles, various other website, but they don't have the confidence to get started a project. The reason behind it, nobody is teaching what is the best practice, what is the best way to get started to build an end-to-end application where you know why I'm using this architecture, what are the best practices, what are the things the people are using in the real world, what are the things we need to keep in the mind to get started with application. Because until you will not build an application, you will not get a confidence, you will not get a real experience to work as a React developer. So that's why you need to create many workflows over there. So create a workflow for shopping cart, payment gateway, login, sign up, dashboard, reports, emails. So just create these small workflow first. Then understand how we can perform the database operation over there. Then understand how we can use the SQL database, NoSQL database, unstructured data management. So these many things are the part of any project over there. So these are second most important things you have to do after learning the technology fundamental. Because learning the technology fundamental will not make you the React developer until you are not exploring, until you are not practicing these important part. Because these are the things only you have to build in the company. So company is not hiring for knowing the React.js. The company is hiring you, you know, to build the application using the React.js. This is the reason why company is hiring you, why the company is interested in you, because you know how to build the application. Then the last thing we having a project coding. So whenever you're going to write the code for an application, so if you're looking at the closely, the heart of the application is my database and its relationship. So whenever you're taking the KT of any project, so please first look at the database tables and their relationship. If you want to be a core member of the team, which actually know everything, which actually discuss what the flow is possible, what are the steps we need to take care of for building that flow. The reason behind it, that person know well database tables and their relationship. So please know it well, then understand, then you can think about logically, you can design the things. So just practice of using the Bootstrap, just practice of using the many others front end technology like HTML, CSS. We having the many others. So if you're willing to earn a real world experience, if you're taking care of these section, these three things, nobody can stop you to become the React.js developer. If you're not practicing these things, then learning the React.js will not help you. It is just like you know the React, but you don't know how to build the application. So obviously, the company will not hire you. You will be failed in your interview. Make sense? So do you have any query regarding these three cornerstone, which every developer must know to get the real world experience? And this is the way how the project architecture should think about here. Let's say you're having the back end, you having the front end, and you having the payment gateway. So this is the way how the things you need to take care of. Simply over here. Now let me share the reason here why you should learn the React.js. So these are the job opportunities you will find out of React.js over the Naukri, Time Jobs, Indeed, and the Glassdoor. So React.js having the many job opportunities. If you're looking for a career in the React, these are the reason why you should go ahead. And this is the average salary of a React developer. It's a average salary, not the highest salary. Remember it. High salary can be in millions, 1 million, 1.2 million. It is a average salary. Got it? At least if somebody is willing to become a React.js developer, you are willing to learn how to build end-to-end real application with the recommended design pattern, the practices, you can join our online training program, which we are offering to become a React.js developer. What are the things I'm sharing with you? These are the things we are doing in our React training program, where you're going to learn how to build a end-to-end OTT platform. Even I will show you here how the OTT platform you will look at here. I'm already having a OTT platform front-end code, which is built by our the in the training program. So here, when it is coming to start this OTT platform, it will look like this way. I'm starting it. To get the average salary in India, just convert the USD into the INR. You will get it. Okay. Don't think much. So the OTT platform which you will build in our training program is I'm showing you. So this is the e-video prime OTT platform we having, where we listed a list of movies here. This is the Caro user is working fine to figure out. We having the login page, validation of working, sign up page, it's working fine here. You can look at the movie, a movie information is coming. We can watch it like this, it's loading here. And here I can log into the system. Here I can log in. So I'm having here the login part. This is a dashboard is coming. In dashboard, I can look at what are the various movies we listed here. These are the various movies. If you're willing to edit a movie, I can edit a movie from here. If I'm willing to create a movie, I can create a movie from here. Similar way, I can get the list of users which enrolled here. There's a list of subscription. The list of subscription we having here. Okay. So until you will not build the application like this way, you will not have the confidence to work it. Where you're dealing with a complete end-to-end application, a real-world like project, where we integrate the payment gateway. So this is the subscription license coming. We can subscribe here after the login. So here after the login, you can subscribe. You can go for the payment gateway simply. So here I can go for the payment gateway. A payment gateway is coming simply. Then I can pay it here using the card here. It's a complete real application where you are doing the payment online, you are subscribing to your things, you are playing the movies, you're uploading the things over there. So such experience is necessary to work in your real life as a React developer. Make sense? What are the things we have done today? Obviously, it's a free. We are not charging anything. But what are the things I'm telling you? It's a paid. I'm talking about now paid training. And the link for joining the training program is available here. If you are interested, you can join. So this is the link. You can follow, and even you can drop a query as well. You can drop a query to find out the more detail. This is the information I share through the chat window. If you are interested, you can join our training program. You're welcome. So guys, here I have done from my side. If you have any query, any doubt regarding the React.js, please do ask. I'm available here to answer your queries. What are the doubt? What are the query you having regarding the React.js? I will answer. It's a 30 days training program where you will have the session on the weekend. It's a and guys, if you're coming to our channel first time at YouTube, Scholar had YouTube channel, a .NETX YouTube channel. I request to everyone, please do subscribe to channel so that such session information you will get to know automatically because we share the many other information as well. So usually bi-weekly we having such master classes where we are teaching the React, Angular, ASP.NET Core, Azure, AWS, many technology we teach through the channel. Okay, thank you for the subscription. Thank you for the subscribing. Babel is not replacing the TypeScript. TypeScript is also the way to do the things. Even the TypeScript code also we can transpile using the Babel simply. Okay, Chandrasekhar, if you need the corporate training, that's good. Okay, you already spoke together, that's fine. Thank you, Giri, for subscribing. Just look at the next batch. Don't look at the last batch. It's about the upcoming batch. Enroll for the upcoming batch, not the previous batch. So basically the previous batch training sold out. Package log file is there. If I'm looking at here, we having the package log file. This is my package dash log file, which is generated automatically. Thank you, Vishal. You have subscribed. Yeah, the Chandrasekhar, the same thing I told you here. The project based training we having over there. If you have subscribed to the project based training, you are going to learn how to build the same OTT platform like website, which I'm showing you here. In corporate training, you have to select that option. Do you need that project or not? Depending upon that, the curriculum is going to be decided. In corporate training, also you can look for the that option. Another query, guys, do you have certificate? You will get. So when you register with us, we will share the certificate. Another query, do you have? So guys, I have done from my side. Thank you for joining this masterclass. I appreciate your time and the effort you put to learn the React.js getting started session. I hope you will join our upcoming session as well, where we are going to teach the many other technologies as well. So thank you for joining this session. Bye.